Approximately 500 miles to the northwest of Oahu, French explorer Jean-François Laperouse was not impressed with the dozen sandy islets he discovered nearly 200 years ago. After all, he nearly grounded his 2 frigates here. He wrote, "The islands are made up entirely of coral and sand. There is no water, no foliage. In my estimation, it is quite uninhabitable." But Laperouse was wrong. Hello everybody, Gary Sprinkle from Tern Island at French Frigate Shoals, where as you can see, hundreds of thousands of residents make this small atoll home. Everywhere you look, there is life, wildlife. French Frigate Shoals was established as a wildlife refuge in 1909 by President Theodore Roosevelt because its unique terrain provides a haven for creatures of the sea and air. Tern is the largest island in the shoals. Originally only 11 acres, it was expanded to 37 acres by the U.S. Navy in 1942 to support military operations. A seawall was built by driving steel sheet piling into the coral and filling it with dredged coral sand. An airstrip was built with hard-packed coral sand. Some 14 species of seabirds are nesting here, more sooty terns than any other, numbering approximately 60,000 mating pair. They don't spend all their time on the atoll. In September, they leave for the open ocean and return the following February or March. Many other species find Tern a welcome oasis in their Pacific wanderings. Frigate birds normally cut out their own territory, but here, where real estate is at a premium, they nest next to other species. A red-footed booby sits on its platform and protects its juvenile chick. Another searches for just the right spot to build its nest. A brown noddy feeds its young. Where there is abundant life, there is also much death. The dead chick could be a result of a number of things, including starvation. There are more endangered monk seal here than anywhere else in the Northwest chain. Threatened green sea turtles have chosen French Frigate Shoals as their favorite egg-laying spot. Only in a refuge such as this will you see eagle rays frolicking just a few feet from shore. The Coast Guard operated a long-range navigational station here until 1979. That's when U.S. Fish and Wildlife set up camp to conduct biological research. The existing barracks were a welcomed luxury. The addition of solar power brought almost all the conveniences of home for the 8 researchers stationed here. Tern Island's punch tide gauge provides advanced tsunami warning signals for the National Weather Service, and the University of Hawaii is conducting a long-term study on tide changes and sea level fluctuation and how it relates to El Nino. There is no better place to research the effects of sea and land, for Tern is slowly eroding. The seawall is in need of repair, or part of the island will be lost.
50 years, it's been basically deteriorating since day one. And right now, as you can see looking behind me, it's a wreck. It's eroded, there's big gaps in the seawall, places where animals can get entrapped. Holes are developing. every day we find new holes, we have new places to fill, and we're quite limited in what we can really do about that. It will require cutting down the old seawall and building a different style. It's a large project, but it's something that could keep Tern Island functioning for a few more decades when the recovery process is going on for these endangered species.
Barclay and Refuge Operations Specialist Anthony Vigiano patrol the island daily in search of animals trapped in the deteriorating wall. A young frigate bird is helped to safety. To the team, this is just one of the rewards of residents on the isolated shoals. A major event every 6 weeks is the arrival of the supply plane, bringing precious cargo, fresh fruits and vegetables. Bob Justman has been ferrying provisions to Tern Island for 15 years. He's made more than 350 trips.
It's pretty routine now. It's the right airplane for the job, which is most important. The Piper Aztec, which we're using, is very maneuverable at low speeds, and we can approach it as low as 80 knots. It gives us the ability to land without hitting birds, which we try not to do. Of course, there are several 100,000 of them at a time, so you have to be a little bit lucky.
With the supply comes the mail, and for a few minutes the men and women stationed here retreat to the life they knew before coming to this desolate place. Far from home, united in isolation, the 4 personnel from Fish and Wildlife and 4 others from National Marine Fisheries form a new family. All consider it a privilege to be here on the shoals, so quickly dismissed by La Perouse and the French Frigate expedition. The Hawaiian monk seal population has taken a turn for the worse. 10 years ago, there were up to 800 monk seals at French Frigate Shoals. Less than half that number now find refuge here. Scientists theorize that the low-pressure system in the Pacific has shifted slightly, causing a corresponding imbalance in the food chain. Larvae and plankton production is down, the fish that feed on them are fewer, and the predators that feed on the fish have less to eat. Monk seals are among these predators. Mitch Craig and Allison Veit have come to Whale Skate Island to recover a monk seal pup abandoned by its mother. Mitch heads up the monk seal recovery team at French Frigate Shoals and has been monitoring this pup since its birth 32 days ago. Young females are given priority since they reproduce.
She looks small enough to pick up, I think.
Good.
Let's go see.
Okay.
A little better if we're up closer.
Normally, pups wean at 40 days, but this seal's mother was malnourished and returned to the sea early to ensure its own survival. Those 8 days without sustenance could cost the pup its life. This is not an isolated incident.
Because it's weaned early, it still has a real strong suckling desire. So it's looking for any animal that will accept its suckling. You know, try to get suckled off of. And in this case, it happens to be another weaned pup, and they're pretty docile, and they seem to be pretty social at this point. If it tried to suckle off a large seal, that seal, an adult male and adult female, would just bite at it or chase it away. The population has been cut in half in the last 6 years. Most of those seals are the young ones, and that bodes really poorly for the future, because then you won't have seals reproducing in the future. Ba. Ba. Come on, puppy. Ba. 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 Okay. That's the thicket. Okay. Let's go give her a dunk first. All right, ready? Okay. The seals are doing poorly now. We have a lot of possibilities with these pups of salvaging some of the reproductive potential. The time is now to do that. This baby's heavy. A little farther. One, two, that's good. All right, let's just take a rest a second. Puppy. That's a little better. Let's give her a chance.
Over the next several weeks, the pup will be cared for by National Marine Fisheries. Malnourished, abandoned pups are kept in a fenced area right here on the beach. Until the pup can be taught to catch its own food, a formula must be force-fed.
It's a mixture of water, fish, herring we use, vitamin supplements. We use a milk replacer, which is like a nutritional substitute you feed young animals. And it's like a fish milkshake they're getting in essence.
Once the pup becomes strong and stable, it embarks on a remarkable adventure. It will be flown to Honolulu, where Sea Life Park researchers will fatten it up and prepare it for the challenges of life in the wild. Not a noble creature, this frigate bird. The Polynesians named it Eva, or thief. The frigate bird makes its living stealing. They use their greater size to frighten other seabirds into regurgitating fish and squid. In this case, a tropic bird fledgling has been forced to the surface of the ocean. The Eva does everything it can to make the young tropic bird cough up its breakfast. A brown noddy named Chubby flies through an open door into the barracks nearly every morning looking for a handout. The former refuge manager at Tern Island hand-raised the bird after it was abandoned by its mother.
He usually chooses the morning to come, and he'll stay as long as he wants, as long as he's hungry, and then he takes off.
Despite its friendship with these humans, Chubby is still a wild bird. Each year he takes off during migration and is gone for months. Then, without warning, he is back.
Chubby, chubby.
Results of Tern Island seabird studies provide valuable information on the health and quality of the marine environment. By measuring the seabird's ingestion of plastics and other garbage, we are able to determine the level of marine pollution. It is a serious problem. Seabirds often die after eating plastics. And when an adult feeds its chick, it can unknowingly pass on deadly plastic mixed in with the squid. One only needs to see the bolus thrown up by fledglings to understand how human debris can kill.
Well, I see a piece of styrofoam. There are squid beaks, as there should be, monofilament net, different sizes. Often in a bolus, you can find lighters, you can find a piece of plastic, you might even find a toothbrush, a toy, a child's toy can often be found. Just anything that's plastic that'll float on the ocean, the adult albatross will eat.
Light sticks used by fishermen are also dangerous.
They're put on the line to attract the billfish to the hook. And when these started showing up in large numbers a few years ago, it happened at the same time that a few monk seals ended up with hooks in their jaw or in their chest. And it was just a very strong indicator that the longline fisheries had increased and was near the area where the monk seals were foraging.
The litter that washes up on these shores is collected, categorized, and documented.
Okay, bottles, alcohol type.
Yeah, we have 2 beer.
Okay, 2 beer.
I'd say 4 of the larger hard alcohol.
The garbage holds a wealth of information, for it tells of the habits of man and how our excesses endanger the creatures with whom we share the earth.
I think very severely, in the sense that we show albatross that often they will die, and when their bodies decompose, their guts are full of plastic. It can be full of netting, it can be full of Bic lighters, it can be full of caps to bottles.
By banding resident seabirds, it is possible to monitor them closely.
We're very much in touch. We basically know when the first eggs are laid, when the first chicks are hatched. So we're pretty much in tune with the entire life cycle for the birds.
Green sea turtles lay their eggs on the sandy beaches and then leave before they hatch. Refuge workers look for stranded newborns in nests where most of the hatchlings have already left.
What we'll do right here is we can dig it like this, because sometimes they go up at an angle, and that's where they become trapped. There we go. I find it very gratifying knowing that in the last decade the population has increased, and I know that I'm here right now being a part of that, being a part of releasing more into the wild to reproduce and create more turtles. It's just very satisfying to be part of a team of people that are working towards that end.
The green sea turtle population is on the rise. No longer endangered, they may soon come off the threatened list, thanks to laws that protect them and the lack of disturbance in this place where they have chosen to bear their young.
Good. There she goes. That's her temporary home. Bye. This is one thing that when I die, at least I can say, as much as we know about this animal, we were trying to make a difference with it.
For me, as a recent graduate as a marine biologist, this is more than I could ever hope for as a job out of college.
The best part is living among the animals, watching them do their natural behavior, being able to turn my head in any direction and see just life flourishing.
Not too many places in the world where you can live and work, and this is paradise.
As we leave, it becomes clear why fate led La Perouse and other explorers to sail by these islands in search of other shores. For human interference would have upset the balance of this oasis and the wildlife whose ongoing fight for survival is possible in this refuge called French Frigate Shoals.